everybody, especially if they grow moringa trees. I don't think trees are hermaphroditic in nature. So I can't not support LGBTQ community. I support all communities, of course, except for communities of hate and racism and things like that. I definitely don't support those communities. But anyone that's acting in nature, in my opinion, plants and animals, they are asexual, and even humans in that nature can kind of go between male and female. I have male external tendencies, female maybe more so not as dominant but recessive traits, internal female traits, positive and negative, male and female. I mean, we all have those traits. Shoot, I have nipples. I lost my ability to have children while I was in the womb. The reason why I have nipples and a belly button and stuff is because there was a time when I was a female. So I do try to think about just harnessing all different qualities, male and female energies, especially working with plants and nature, and to just not have any hatred for anybody. But that was a great question, so thank you. Trees are hermaphroditic. Moringa trees are hermaphroditic in nature. Just to kind of run off of that question, if we support LGBTQ. So trees are hermaphrodites. When they grow up, when they get bigger, this is awesome. Sometimes people say, how come my moringa tree doesn't have a lot of flowers on it? Or someone's like, yo, my moringa tree is loaded with drumsticks. How tall does it have to be before you cut it back? You can cut it back at this tall. You can cut it back at any height. It doesn't have to be any size. You can cut it back whenever the tree is no longer producing a lot of material and it's very lanky and it just have one tall skinny shoot, go ahead and cut it back. If your tree's like 10 foot tall but you only have like one shoot or whatever, as soon as you cut it back, it's going to sprout up a couple more sprouts. You cut those back and that'll sprout out even more sprouts. So you kind of want to start layering your trees. But what I was saying is that trees are hermaphroditic in nature. So some people will be like, hey, I have a lot of drumsticks. Or some people will be like, hey, I don't have any drumsticks. What do I do to get more drumsticks? Moringa trees are self-pollinating. Okay, so you don't, of course, yes, moringa do need a lot of fertilizer. Any plants need a lot of food and fertilizer, especially these being food and harvesting them for food. Every time you cut them back, you're going to want to feed them, because that way when it starts growing out more greens, it has oak mulch on there. It has iron from the azomite that you can put in there. I usually fertilize with organic azomite. Rock dust is a really great way to add iron minerals, potash, and things like that are in this mix. We add to the ground, to the pots, and that's really helpful. Yes, moringa does need a lot of fertilizer. Like worm casting is a really good way to fertilize anything, really. So back to that question about the hermaphroditic in nature, is that some people will be like, hey, my moringa tree has a ton of drumsticks. Or some people will be like, hey, my tree doesn't have any drumsticks. They are self-pollinating. But if you have more moringa trees in a closer area, you're going to have more chances for them to pollinate each other too. So what's crazy is that if you have like 10 trees, okay, in like a backyard, they'll all be about the same size, they'll all be about the same age, they'll be coming up, but all of a sudden, like, one of them gets a little bit bigger, one of them gets a little bit more flowers on it, one of them gets a little bit more drumstick on it. That one has determined to be the queen of the crop. That one then turns into the queen mama, and the other ones stay more male. So you mean to say, like, they can decide on who's going to be more male and who's going to be more female? Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I'll notice this in a crew of trees. There'll be one or two, like, fulled out, tons of drumsticks, and then there'll be, like, smaller male trees that don't have a lot of flowers, that don't have any drumsticks really at all. And that's because they've decided to put all that energy as a team from talking to each other, you know, through their root systems and things like that, you know, who's going to end up becoming the queen mama of this area. And that's what's so cool, is that they can decide who is going to be more male or female. Now, when you look at a seed, can you determine who's going to be more male and who's going to be more female? I think not. I think because when they're young, they both have the ability to do both. They have the ability to be male and female when they're young, when they're immature. They haven't really figured it out yet. They don't know their own identity and who they are. And so what they'll do is they will mature, and as they mature, they will then decide who's going to be more female than male. And then the female ones usually end up having a lot more drumsticks, a lot more seeds on them. Yeah. Usually, like if you see a papaya with like no flowers on it or no fruits on it, that's usually a male. And what's funny is that I brought up papaya, but papaya is actually the closest known relative to moringa. I mean, another closest known like fruit relative, not necessarily in the same family, but very close neighboring like genus, I think, something like that. I'm still learning like the specifications and the categorizing of plants and things like that. But that's what's interesting to me, is being in this industry, people are teaching me, even through a lot of these lives. People will comment and tell me things that I have never even heard about, how people are using moringa. So if you've grown up with moringa in your home or your family, or some of your loved ones, you grew up with moringa, let us know how you used moringa in the past while growing up. Say maybe in your foods, maybe like a curry, you know, maybe as a soup or a salad, in a soup or a salad, maybe just eating the greens right fresh off the tree. Maybe you don't eat the greens at all. Maybe you're like, hey, I only eat the fresh drumsticks. You know, a lot of people really just only eat the fresh drumsticks. Yeah, we're almost done here today. We got enough done to go ahead and call it a day. I'm gonna go ahead and relax for the rest of the afternoon. I've already been working pretty much all day today. I've been writing a book, answering calls and texts, and working on the website, building a moringa business.